Hi, welcome to Refine Co. Today I want to give you a tour of the Refine Times Ali Harper preset collection. We designed this collection because we found a need for a preset specifically for commercial editing and publication. Ali has been a Refine user since the beginning, but she found that she had to tweak her presets a little too much to refine them for her commercial and interior clientele. So we spent the last year building this collection for you. In this collection, you will not only find a clean classic edit, but we have also included presets that tap into the common commercial editing styles like dark and moody, matte, and Ali's favorite, rich. Let's get started editing. I have the collection open here, so I want to give you a quick walkthrough. You can see we have clean. This is your classic, most straightforward, true to color, brings in a nice light and whites. We also have dark, which is just that, dark and moody. It has nice thick undertones in the shadows. And it's great when you want to either mood up an image or if you have a very dark image, and I'll edit some of those. You can see they're in here. And then we also have matte. Matte is a trend we're seeing a lot in our influencers and interior designers. It's just that, it's matte. It's kind of flat, a little gray, and low contrast, but we're seeing it a ton in our Instagram feeds. And then also rich. Rich is Ali's favorite, and it's just that. It brings a little more pop to the colors. It doesn't add saturation, but it just kind of livens them up, has a nice contrast, a lifted shadow, and we found that Ali is using that quite a bit. And we have two tones that we added onto the collection. That's Sienna. It's the same tone, just two different strengths. This is another trend that we're seeing like in Zara Home. I think we've also seen it in Urban Outfitters, in Anthropologie Home, where it has a kind of a warm overall tone on the image. So you can take a clean classic edit and give it a little extra, almost like desert warmth to it. It's beautiful. We love playing with that. And then Ali's toolbox. We can add in deeper blacks, clarify. This is something she uses on almost every image. Then we have contrast. We can pull a little out, add a little more. Flat light knocks those highlights down for you. Less yellow, very popular preset if you need a quick edit and don't want to do any masking. And you need to pull out, say, some warm tones in your whites, and or if your yellows are a little too hot, you can click on this. And saturation, you bring that down, bring it up if you need a little more pop of color. And then texture, this is also something that Ali adds to her images, and I think that just comes from her film roots. There's no grain added. This just gives it so it doesn't look so smooth. And I don't want to say flat, but just super smooth. And then of course you have some undos as you try these and want to undo them as needed. You can see here in the bottom, I have quite a variety of images. I have a little bit of Ali's interior work, her stock photography work. I have a few from a couple other photographers, and I'll list them in the comments below, because I'm going to have to look up their names for each one since it's not on the file name. And I have different white balances. I have some that are dark. I have some that are a little yellow. You can see how yellow and green these are, so we'll show that this one's overexposed. So I will play with these and show you how you would edit them with Ali's collection, and go through the presets and give you a pretty thorough walkthrough of how to edit with these. So let's get started. So the first image, I'm just going to go ahead and click and show you the results of just a one click of each of these presets. And you can see the color tones stay the same. We're just bringing the image to life. That's the beauty of commercial photography, is, it really just needs to be true to life, but you just need to enhance it quite a bit. And you can see why these are Ali's favorites. Those are almost one-click edits right there, and that's just stunning. So let's go ahead and pick one. I think I'll just go ahead and use rich on this and lift. And of course, I'm probably not going to do this on every image because it would make this video way too long. But one of the things that Ali will do first is just this, is go ahead and straighten out her lines for interior photography. So using the transform tool, you can see that gives us a good, let's check this one, make sure that's still straight. There we go. And there, now we have a straighter image to work from. So I clicked rich, increase exposure as desired. Obviously, you can keep it moody with rich as well. And I think we want to be somewhere in here. I'm watching the highlights on the bed. Honestly, that's it. And then from there, we can play with, I'll go ahead and play with some of the tools. You can see what each of these does. I'm going to take off black. Clarify, you can see it just, I'm going to undo real quick, just gives it a nice little crisp edge to it. This is great for print publication where, looking at it here may feel a little too crisp, but when it goes into print, you're going to need that extra crispness because things getting softened up once it goes into print. So you kind of have to find that happy balance. And then we can add contrast as needed. That's beautiful. It gives it like a really nice rich pop. Flat light, you can see it just knocks off those highlights a little bit. I'm going to undo that. Less yellow. This one really didn't have any in it, so it's not going to be very, this one doesn't have a ton of colors, so we're not going to really see saturation. You can see that gave it a nice little pop there. And texture you will not be able to see on this video, but rest assured, it's one of her favorites. I think mostly she uses clarify and texture on almost every image. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the Peonies. So clean, I'm just going to do one click and really just show you guys just how immediate these are. You really don't have to fine tune them a lot. And you see matte, it's just kind of a flat. You can see it's just kind of soft and gray. So it's a really nice soft look. And then rich, of course, just really brings it to life. Even dark looks amazing on this if you wanted to kind of do something a little moodier. This is great for those food shots that you'll see with the mushrooms where you really want to just give that deep dark look. Let's go ahead and do this one with clean because I know she shot these for stock, and you can see I really just don't even have to make a lot of tweaks. I don't even have to touch it. Could go from there, give it a nice little clarify, and send this image on its way out the door. The mushrooms, these are popular. It's one of my favorite shots of Ali's. I think it's just because of the deep dark palette. You can see clean, dark. And this one's going to need some white balance, but I'm just going to click through these. Ooh, rich 2 looks good, and dark. Let's do dark. So I'm going to reset. I'm going to go into auto. More you can see instantly. Ali uses auto a lot. Depending on your camera body in Lightroom, auto doesn't always work, but we both tend to lean on it for a start just to kind of save tweaking time. On white balance, of course, either of us could edit our white balance as needed with the sliders, but sometimes auto gets you there and then you can lightly tweak after using auto. So I'm going to go with that. Let's go ahead and do dark 2. I'm going to lift just a little. Let's go ahead and clarify to really bring out the webbing in the mushrooms. I don't know what you call that. That's what I'm going to call it for today. I'm going to add in saturation just to kind of really make the food pop and kind of stand off the screen. Ooh, the extra contrast. And there you go. So if you're looking for a nice, rich, deep edit, that is how you would do that with this collection. I think that looks amazing. And here's another image. I believe this is by Erin McGinn. And I'm just going to click through real quick so you guys can see the options and just how with one click it changes. This is the look that we're seeing a lot right now. When I was talking in the beginning, the matte, it's just got a very soft look to it. The colors are not in your face, but they're there, and it almost looks more true to life, I guess. And people are really leaning on that a lot. I'm seeing this looks beautiful too. This looks very Amber's Interior-esque. Let's go ahead, add a little clarify. See what this, add a little pop just to bring out those warm tones. And really, you could really just keep playing with this as needed. Let's go ahead and throw a little sienna on this and see what it looks like. You can see how soft it is. It's very subtle. Watch the whites here. So the first one, and then the second one. And so it just gives that nice kind of overall warm tone without changing the colors too much, but gives you that new editorial look that we're seeing a lot. Here's a nice underexposed image. Ali tends to do this when she shoots to keep her windows from blowing out completely. Depends on if she's shooting it for publication or stock. If she's shooting for publication or client, she will, I think it's called bracketing. I'm still learning all the interior terms, so bear with me. but she'll shoot several, one where the window is completely in exposure, the proper exposure, and this will be under, obviously, and then vice versa, where she'll shoot this and then she'll layer them together. And it's mind-blowing, the effort that goes into interior photography, but that's what she'll do. But I'm going to edit these just like we're editing for stock, where it's just one image and we're not layering images together. So let's just start with clean. You can see that already brings a lot of the image to life. It still maintains, watch that, it still maintains that window without changing it much at all, but brought the undertones in. And of course, dark is going to be too dark for this. Matte is nice, and rich. Let's do rich on this one. I'm going to lift exposure. And if you notice, one thing we worked really hard on is we actually brought in some highlight in here, but we built in a tone curve so the highlights do not overly blow as soon as you lift your exposure. So it really gives you some flexibility as you're playing with it to bring the image to life. Let's go ahead and take a look at the white balance. And I brought in too much magenta for my taste. I'm going to actually cool it down just a touch. Let's take a look at less yellow on this. Okay, so here's an example. You may not see this on the video, but we have some color cast in here. And again, this is something Ali would tend to mask. I'm not going to go through masking in this video. It's another video I will be doing for you guys. But if I just wanted to quick edit this, I would do the less yellow, which will take a little bit of this kind of warm cast that was coming in on the walls, and it knocked them right out. So let's use that and bring down these highlights just a little. That actually gives us some room to lift this a little more. And let's try extra contrast to pop everything. And that looks amazing. I mean, that's what we could do. We could, of course, fine tune this even more, but I'm not going through that with this video. I just want to show you around with the presets and give you kind of a walking tour. Ali's going to work on a edit video for us on exactly her process for her publications. And I know you guys are going to be looking forward to that. It's too auto. It's a little too cool, so I'm going to go ahead and warm it up just a touch. And I think clean too. And you can see I brought the exposure down on this when I was talking, just to kind of keep this from overexposing out here. And let's see, a flat light. There you go. That helps bring in those highlights and keep those from being too blown out. This is something that I think Ali and I learned in stock photography. We have to submit our work, and they will kick it back if they feel like the whites are too blown out. And you know, it's a hard lesson to learn when you've done a whole shoot and you realize, you know, you're shooting your film days where everything's a little overexposed and nobody cares if your highlights are blown. When you get into commercial, that's very important. So it's something that we are sticklers for, and that's why we have these options to clean up those highlights and keep those whites from being too visually hot. And you can see the difference right here, how much it softened it up. Let's go ahead and add clarify to this. And then I think I'm actually going to add a little saturation to really just kind of pop that, just for example of this video. And let's warm it up just a teeny bit. There you go. And then this one, I want to do mood on. Let's do dark right here. And really, that's all I have to do. I don't even have to edit a ton on this image. It's so easy. This one you can see, it's probably a little high on the exposure. Generally, Ali and I tend to bring the exposure somewhere in here because we're exposing for the highlights now. This was an old shot of hers, but it's one of my favorite shoots she's done. And I just love the color of the radishes, so I asked her to include these. But normally we would shoot to not blow this area out and then lift it in Lightroom. And so I think somewhere in here is about where we would prefer to shoot this now. But I'm going to go ahead and click through. Let's do rich 2 on this. Let's take a look at auto. Maybe a hair too warm, but not really. And then those highlights look good. And of course, straighten that out a little bit. I think I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. Let's do this. And there, that straightens that board out. It's the little things when you're working on images like this that make it look more professional. So go ahead and, I think that's too much. I think we'll go from here and maybe add a little warmth in. And there you go. This is a nice moody image. I'm not going to do that. It's clean. Let's just go ahead and click through. You see how instantly clean brings this to life. We could lift this up and do a more light, I don't want to necessarily call it light and airy, just a lighter image. We can lift the shadows if we want. We feel like we want to really bring out all these details in the table. It depends on what the focus is on the shot, whether it's the mood. Let's do matte on this. I'm going to do matte too. I'm going to warm this up a little. And there you go. This kind of a moody, soft look. This would be great for an Instagram feed, or if you're just trying to show the more realistic vibe of this space. And when we lighten it a little too much, we'd walk into this room with it looking like this. So we don't want to go too far from that when you're really trying to show the feel of the room. So a nice lifestyle shot. And you can see we're a little blown out down here, but immediately, just even with clean, which is our lightest preset out of the entire collection, we did not overblow this area. That's why I edit on white so I can see whether I've gotten too white, and it's really not bad at all. We could definitely bring this down to give it more of that real life feel, which I think somewhere in here is good. Let's take a look at auto. Definitely warmed it up. I think I'm going to find a happy medium there. Get straight to that bottle. Everything's on an angle right here, so I'm just going to focus on the bottle, make sure it's perpendicular. And I'll go ahead and take a look at the others. Clean 2. Clean 2 basically just has a deeper contrast and shadow depth to it. So that gives you 2 options. Dark. That looks great too. I mean, this is so popular right now. And then matte. A little softer, rich, really just brings everything to life. You can see how rich these greens got. The orange tone in the wood, everything just has a little extra pop, but it doesn't look too saturated. And I think that's one reason that this is Ali's favorite. And you can see how much of this extra detail we gained in here. It brings out the veining and the marble. So it's definitely a great. And then if you can still lift it here, and bring down your highlights, you can bring down your whites. So you have a lot of flexibility with these because of the tone curves we have built in. This is one of my favorite rooms. You'll probably see this a lot because for some reason, I just love this room. So every time I'm going through an editing, I tend to grab this one. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do rich on this. Auto, let's take a look at how that looks when I lift. Definitely going to add in some warmth. We got these beautiful warm tones in here. You can see you could really work on this. So if you felt like the roof was a little too much, you could just soften it up a little bit when you're looking out the window. And let's see there's less contrast if you need to soften things up or if you need to give a little extra pop. Saturation just really brings everything to life without oversaturating. It doesn't look obtrusive, so it's really, really soft, just enough to kind of bring those colors to life if you need them for publication. And there you go. That's a pretty drastic before and after there. See how they look on green walls. I can see this one's a little warm, so I'm going to go ahead and do auto, and you can see that instantly knocked this extra warmth out of the image. And then let's click through, and you can see how each preset stays true to life on the color tones. It just has different levels. There you go. Let's do clean. Clarify. Let's just do the first one so it's soft since it's a nursery. And really, I mean, that's it. I would maybe bring down the highlights a little here. wrong slider. Just to soften those up a little bit on the bed. Nice white kitchen. This is a beautiful kitchen. You can see, for those that need those nice whites, you can see instantly how it just brightened this up. I'm just going to stick with this, and let's go ahead and take a look at Clarify. There we go. That kind of, because it got a little soft back in here, and I think we could probably add a little bit more. Maybe I'll add in some current. There we go. Adding in that contrast, you can, let me go ahead and undo that real fast. Get out of Clarify too. So you can see here, it looks beautiful, but it's a little soft in this area. You know, just flat, I think it's just the way it was shot, the light that's coming in. So I added Clarify, and I still feel like it needed a little more. So I added the contrast, and it just really sharpened these edges up. Didn't change the image much, but it really just gave it that nice professional edit. Let's go ahead and take a look at Flat Light and see if I can fix these little areas here without having to mask. That really helped a ton to really knock down those highlights and make them less strong and bright in your face. So there we go. And then I'm seeing a little this reflection off of the floor, I assume, or maybe even coming from outside. There's some yellow, so let's take a look at less yellow. What I'm going to do is pop this over here to the left. So this is it. Let's see if we can see a difference. Might not be able to. Definitely took out all this yellow color cast and made these more of a true white. So wood tone still looks great. Everything still looks beautiful. So that's a good way to do it without masking. Of course, you can go in and mask, but if you need a quick edit, say for Instagram, social media, or stock photography or whatever, and you're just not looking to do a bunch of masking, you can do that. Otherwise, Ali would do masking and really clean it up. But you can definitely see it right here in the whites on the side of the cabinet, because this is the one with yellow and this is the one without. So looks great. A nice lifestyle style shot. Everybody asked how these do on skin. I'm going to get ready to show you. Let's go ahead and warm things up a little. Click through. And this one is definitely a little overexposed. I think we would want it somewhere in here. Clean. You see their skin just looks great. Of course, this is too dark. Rich. I think I'm going to stick with clean. Let's do clean one. Here we go. I'm actually going to warm it up a little more. Bring up the shadows a little. Let's take a look at less yellow. Whiten those whites up. There we go. Soft Clarify, because usually with people I feel like Clarify is a little too strong, so I'm just going to do the first one and maybe take a look at saturation. It's a little too much, so we could hand saturate if we wanted to right here, but I think that that looks great. It looks very natural. Here's another. Let's do matte on this. Bring this down a little. Add in a little saturation. You can see how it just really kind of softened up all the tones. They're still true to life. It's still the same overall tones, but it kind of just softened them up a little and brought a little more of that, I think people are calling it organic feel, and it looks great. All I did was matte, and I actually added saturation in just to bring out these the copper colors in the image. There's another bathroom, some new colors to work with. I'll go ahead and click through. Ooh, clean too looks really good on that. Even dark for a light image like this, and if you really want to kind of give it that rich look, dark works really nice on that as well. So don't think you have to use dark just on dark images. It really can just give you those nice, deep, longer shadows. Matte. And then rich. And you can see why rich just, it's almost like a one click. It just brings everything to life, brings in all that contrast and crispness to the image. Probably wouldn't even have to add Clarify on this one because it really just crisps everything up quite a bit. I'm actually going to play with dark on this, and white balance is almost spot on. And honestly, there you go. You can really, it just depends on, you know, how the overall vibe you're looking for and what your client is asking for your edit. So you've got some flexibility there. Nice white kitchen, so let's stick with clean. I'm going to do clean too. Let's do flat light to knock down those highlights. Paint now with flat light. Actually, I was looking for a contrast. There we go, that nice rich Christmas. Find a happy medium here. There you go, that looks amazing. Clean. Matte. It's too rich. So I can even bring down these blacks. I can lift them as needed. And auto gives us a nice warm feel, so you could even go with that for that kind of sienna look. I'm going to do as shot. Let's take a look at sienna on this while we're talking about it. That looks great. So that's very Zara Home. I'm trying to remember who else has. There's a lot of photographers we've seen that have that kind of warm edit. But I think for the sake, we're going to keep it somewhere in here and let these colors sing. And there you go. Here's a moodier kind of green edit. Let's take a look at auto. So you get that pulled out that extra warmth. Clean. Matte. Let's do rich one. Contrast. You see just how flexible these are. They really, you can go with the one click, or you can really tweak it to get the overall vision that you have or your clientele is looking for the publication. I love this shot. I love any image that has window light coming in. It just makes me so happy. See here, just clicking through so you guys can see. Oh, matte actually looks really nice on this. All right, I'm going with matte because I wasn't expecting to like this, but honestly, I think I love that. You can see these just come to life right here. You still have the overall vibe, but it's just soft. I'm going to take it off of the... That looks amazing. But let me go ahead and put a... You see I haven't played with all these yet, so you're getting my real life view on these images as I get to them. That is just beautiful. I love that. Okay, next, keep going. I'm going to start drooling over images here in a minute. This one is probably a little overexposed. So again, we would like it somewhere probably in here, just so the whites are not too bright and it gives us some flexibility with the preset if you do here. Luckily, we're able to retain these highlights, so no big deal. Those came back, but sometimes when you expose a little too hot, we can't get this information back on the file. So it limits you in the editing process in the end. Clean, dark, too dark with the dresser. Matte looks good. Rich obviously brings out those tones. Let's just do clean one for a classic. Since this one is super tilted, I'm going to go ahead and try to find an edge here. Get this straightened out. There we go, much better. You can see the difference between the two, so that's why that's important. And let's go ahead and clarify. That looks good. Contrast, of course, we could even lessen the contrast. It softens it up a little bit, but I think we need this. I'm going to lift these shadows just a little to kind of enhance that dresser, because maybe this is the focus of the shot. If you're shooting for, say, a brand and they're selling furniture, you want to make sure that this is enhanced and people can really see it. So that would be great. And I'm going to go ahead and flat that light out. That's a little too much, so let's bring that in between. And there you go. You can see how our highlights are taken care of. They're not too bright here. Everything is in focus. Everything is well exposed. Brought back some detail inside the windows, but the whites are still white. That looks great. A few more to go. Here's another one I wanted to show you because of the white balance on it. Let's go ahead and see what Lightroom gives us. Much better. This may lean a little magenta, but I'm going to wait until I put on the preset to tell. So again, we're seeing a lot of shots like this, you know, where it's real kind of moody, almost too dark. Like you can almost have to sit on the image for a minute to look at everything, and maybe that's why they're doing it. So you don't just pass by it, that you want to kind of squint and lean into the image a little. So this is a great look. The matte actually looks really nice on this as well. And of course, rich. Let's do rich. I like this one. I'm going to go ahead and lighten this up a little. And I'm watching everything going through. This is such a fun perspective seeing. And I do think that I'm going to take a little of this magenta out. And I'm still going to cool it down just a little more. Clarify. Less yellow. You can see how that took that extra bit of color cast out of the whites right there. And that looks great. It looks amazing. We can add in some contrast if we wanted to, just depending on, like I said, if you need it for publication or not. And we can add in texture. I'm not bothering with that because you guys can't see it. Oof, going straight to dark for this. And that's one click of dark. Nice deep blacks here, but they're not, I mean, if you squint, you can see the texture in here. We could obviously lift that a little bit if we wanted to. But I think the idea is to focus on this moment here and let that fall off the image. But this is one click of dark too. You could send off with this. Feeling like this is a little hot, so I'm going to flatten that out. And I'm going to find a happy medium. It's a little blown out, so this is probably an area we would try masking. I think this is an older image of Ali's, and I think nowadays, you know, she would expose so this isn't so blown out in the original image. That way we would lift everything else up from there. But for this case, we're just going to find a happy medium. And you could even add a little warmth in this. I think somewhere in there kind of really brings out, look how much these textiles came to life. They almost all looked white, but it's actually a linen flax color. So the preset really just brought all that to life. I think this is another Erin McGinn shot. Let's do rich too, because I really want to bring out the beautiful colors. Say we're shooting this for Amber Interiors and this is her new rug collection, then you want to make sure you're bringing out the rug, that's the focus and the color. So let's take a look at auto. I definitely think we do need to be a little warmer on this, which is also, say, very Amber Interiors. For those that don't know who she is, she's a great interior designer. I love her work, her products, and her design philosophy. But this gives you that look that her photographer, I think it's Shade Dix. I'm probably saying that wrong. But he's super talented, and you know, this gives you that overall vibe. Let's warm it up a little. Clarify. Let's see which one I like. I like the first one. Flatten those lights a little, which gives us some more room for exposure. So you can see how, assuming this is product photography and we needed the furniture to all stand out, or the rug, you can see just how that brought that to life, and everything just pops out. You know, we still see the chair, it's not falling into the shadows. The furniture back here is not falling into the shadows. So if you're putting it on Instagram and tagging everything, they really just pop out. And that's why you want that when you're shooting for a commercial client, like say a furniture designer. Clean. Let's go ahead and do clean too, because I want to keep this one a little moody, because I think that's the overall vibe of this. Let's flat light for those windows. Let's go ahead and do clarify. You can see how important this toolbox is to these presets. This was something that Ali really wanted to focus on, because it's something that she leaned on a lot. I was like, tell me everything that you do on every image, and then we fine-tuned it down to this collection. So unlike our other collections where you really don't lean on the toolbox a ton, this collection, it is a big part of the editing process to really get a true commercial edit. And then let's take a look at less yellow. Yeah, I think that's good. It takes just enough out because this is a creamy cabinet. It's not white. We can see this is white here, so we want to keep that nice oatmeal, light oatmeal kind of latte color going and true to life. But again, everything popped out, so if this is product photography, it's all there and present. Only a couple more to go, and we'll be finishing up this video. Let's take a look at clean. I think I'm going to do, let's do rich, because I really feel like it brings the texture of this tile to life. Lift. Let's take a look at auto. Ooh, see, that's a perfect example of auto not being your friend. I think I'm going to warm this up just a hair. Yeah, there we go. Flatten those whites a little. And then clarify. You could do more contrast to really pop that, but that looks great. And the last image, I think this was shot for stock photography, and you can see it's bright. We got so I think she was probably using video lights for this, or flash, because we have very strong shadows, but I want to show you an edit so you can see how clean just gives it just enough softness. We can bring this down even more. Say you wanted to do something like that, you could. Clean 2, crisp things up quite a bit, so if you're really going for that sharp, high contrast look, that would do that for you. Dark, probably not ideal. Matte, maybe could work on this, and then of course rich. Just do rich 1. Lift. And I'm going to go ahead and add saturation to bring out these shell colors. And even that you can adjust. Say it was too much and you need to bring them down, you can do that as well. But there you go. So that is a pretty thorough look at Refined Times Ali Harper collection. I'm excited about this collection. I think it's something that is vastly needed out there. We did a lot of research, and there's just not a ton of commercial presets that we could find. So we hope this really helps you guys that are diversifying your businesses and adding brand photography, product photography, commercial, interior photography, architectural, travel, that this, even stock. I'm a big stock photographer, so is Ellie. So these are a great collection to give you those edits where they're still beautiful. They pull back a little bit on that whole film shift look, the film tones, but still give you a beautiful edit. Thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoy the collection.